for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
This is the Happy Hour.
You guys going to happy hour?
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainert.
I want to know what it's like to commit a crime without having to spend time in jail.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
Brought to you by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome in. Happy Wednesday. This is the Happy Hour. 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick and Rico hanging out with you guys as usual. What's up, Rico?
Hello.
How's it going?
Going great.
Anything on your mind?
No, my feet still hurt.
Why do your feet hurt? Oh, because we were standing.
Because we had to stand for like 3 hours.
Yeah. I found a nice little. I got myself nestled right behind the Husker bench. Actually.
I thought about going to that side, but I didn't because I was gonna stand behind the Creighton bench and just hear what they were talking about. But no, I stood on the other side and I was leaning up against the rail, and it was one of the rails that like wasn't stuck, so there was a little bit of give. So anytime I would move, it would move.
Yeah, that's annoying. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, Rico and I went out to the Husker women's basketball game last night at Creighton.
DJ Sokol Arena.
Cool venue. Really cool venue.
It really is.
Like I don't know if I'd want to play my home game. If I was the home team, I would want to play there.
Yes.
Tough place to play on the road.
UConn has to go there.
Yeah.
Which I know we don't cover Creighton athletics. And we definitely won't be able to get a seat in media row.
That'd be pretty sweet.
But I kind of want to go to that one.
I bet we'd be able to finagle our way.
We wouldn't get a seat.
If we didn't get a seat,
if we didn't get a seat to Creighton, Nebraska, we're not getting a seat to Creighton.
The reason we didn't get a seat last night is because they've never had that many media and that many people. I mean, there were media.
I think this is the first time UConn's coming here. They're not playing at CHI.
Oh no,
they're going to play it at the Sokol.
DJ Sokol. That will be.
We're not getting a seat.
It'd be worth it
unless I ask now. You want to ask now?
Creighton
send an email to the Creighton women's basketball SID.
Oh, that's men.
Yeah,
the men play Creighton as well.
Men's UConn, they're not as good.
They're 25th in the country.
They're not as good. They're not the same as they were back with Kemba.
All right, so this one is December 28th. What? What does that have what?
I feel like I'm doing something that night.
Yeah. Rico's always got plans. Anyway, Adon says, does Nick know who's starting Space Jam still?
No, he does not. He didn't look it up.
Huh? I can tell you the starting lineup of the Toon Squad.
Can you?
I could.
Who was the starting lineup?
Bugs Bunny, LeBron, Lola, Tweety, Elmer Fudd, Coyote. Is there more?
I don't know. I didn't watch the new one. I was talking about the old one.
Oh, well, that's just. No, one of my buddies sent me. So this morning at 9:56 a.m., he sent me the introducing the Toon Squad. Oh, obviously LeBron's the new one.
Yeah.
Introducing the Toon Squad, and it's just a list of everybody on there.
Yeah,
listen, I don't know. Here's the deal with that. Rico could have just kept it to himself.
No, I need the people to shame you.
They do that enough as it is. It doesn't bother me.
I know it doesn't, but this is necessary.
Because here's the thing.
It's not like you're going to go watch the movie.
Absolutely not. And I'm going to do it out of spite.
I know.
It's not that I have anything against Space Jam.
Did you even what's the movie that I lent you? Did you watch it?
No, I never did. What was that movie? If you it was a baseball movie, I think.
I don't remember.
List off some baseball movies.
Sandlot.
No.
42.
No.
Why are those the only two I can think of right now?
That's really bad. Ace Ventura. Thank you, Mark.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I never watched
that. It wasn't a baseball movie.
I thought it was a baseball movie. that you lent me, not Ace Ventura. So somebody says the only Space Jam that matters is the first one. Okay, so I feel like I need to back myself up here again. We had it on VHS. There's a very good chance that I watched it as a young child. If I'm not still a child, watched it as a young child.
As have many people.
I just don't remember it. That's one thing I will say.
How?
I don't remember movies very well. The very few movies that I watch, I have a tough time remembering them.
If I could remember,
I don't know actors. I do not know actors.
Mhm.
Unless it's a movie that I've watched a couple times, it takes me a while to actually remember the movie.
Wow. If I could remember problems and things for school as well as I do movies, I would have been a valedictorian.
I think I just have a bad memory when it comes to something other than sports. And I don't know if it's one of those things where it's like selective memory.
I think that's what it is.
Unintentional selective memory.
I don't think you care about movies, even if you go to watch them.
I do not care.
Like,
about
even
movies.
if you go to watch it, you're just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I go and watch it, and I leave the movie. The seldom times that I go to a movie theater, I'll leave and I'll be like, it was a good movie, but then I completely forget it. Like I don't. Everybody freaks out about the whole Marvels and the Star Wars and everything like that.
They're great.
They are great.
Those you have to remember because they're connected.
People freak out when a new Star Wars or new Marvel, I don't even know, Marvel movie comes out and they're like, oh, I wonder if back 3 movies ago this happened.
Yes.
That could have foreshadowed what's
exactly.
I would never be able to do it.
Very important.
That's why I think I will never be able to get into those types of films because I will never remember what happened in the first or second movies.
I'm disappointed in you, but not really. It's fine. Everybody has their own thing.
I don't know. I wish I liked movies, but I don't. Like now here, I will
maybe
say
you just have to find your genre.
Maybe that's it. Anon says that's sad, and I agree. It's not like I'm a fan of not liking movies. Just who I am. You need to accept now. I'm just kidding. You need to accept. Who I am. Listeners.
Anyways, back to
Husker women's basketball.
Yeah.
402-464-5685. The Honda of Lincoln hotline, the Starter Heyman text line. It's already 1:19 p.m.
Yeah, we went a little bit long.
Okay, that's fine.
The commercial breaks have been decent.
That's fine.
So
I just
we can do this and then hit a break.
I just looked up at the clock.
Yeah,
and it's already 1:19. Yeah. So anyway, we were out at DJ Sokol Arena last night. Really cool venue. The
largest
crowd. The crowd is right on top of the court. And I was telling like AD and Raph this morning, Rico, that the distance that you and I are from each other is basically the distance from the first row to like the benches.
Mm-hmm. It's very short.
It feels like a high school gym, just on a little bit of a larger scale.
It's a private high school gym.
Yeah, it's sort of.
Not a Nebraska private high school.
There you
gym,
go. Okay,
like a Texas private.
Yeah.
High school
Okay.
gym.
There you go. Yep. So on a little bit of a bigger scale. So, it's got to be a crazy environment to play in. It was last night. It was loud. Obviously, you had the rivalry that was kind of intense. Nebraska just struggled to finish at the rim, and it seemed like a lot of and Coach Flannery, the head coach of Creighton last night, said that one of the they felt like they out toughed Nebraska. They beat Nebraska in the toughness category. But Amy Williams, the head coach for Nebraska, said something along the lines of the most frustrating part was that they allowed a lot of hustle plays. They allowed Creighton to get some scrappy rebounds, which in turn got Nebraska out of system defensively and allowed Creighton, who struggled to miss a shot more than they did to make a shot last night.
I don't think they could have missed if they tried.
Yeah.
They could have thrown up a half-court shot and probably
it could have went in. Like Rico and I, the term that we used to categorize a couple of Creighton's players last night, certified buckets.
Certified. Stamp.
Molly Mogensen was 8 of 11 at halftime with 19 points. She finished with a career high 22. You had Crete native Morgan Molly who went off and hit a dagger. Jamie Huron came in off the bench, the Millard South grad, and played her part off the bench. And this was while Creighton was missing a starter as well. So this Creighton team, like, give credit to them because they're 20th in the country. And Nebraska, I truly think Now they shot the ball really poorly last night, which is uncharacteristic of Nebraska.
Shots that they normally hit right at the bucket.
Yeah, right at the bucket,
Like,
3-pointers, normally
little
are
turnaround
good.
hook
Yeah.
shots, just anything that if you've ever been to a women's basketball game, shots that they could hit in their sleep, just rimming out, hitting the back of the backboard and just roll. Just nothing was falling for Nebraska. It was very uncharacteristic.
And I think part of it, once again, I hate to continue to talk about the venue, but I think a significant part of it is the venue, because I said this to AD and Raph this morning, is that when you're in PBA and you look past the scoreboard, because obviously the backboard is see-through.
Goes on for a while.
You see the concourse, you see the seats, you see everything up there. Within PBA, you're in this giant professional style of arena, where last night you look through that backboard and there's a wall. There is a solid color wall right there.
10 rows of students on one side and then a wall on the other side. The it's like little benches just right underneath the basket. So you're not seeing people. It was just a wall, or was that windows?
That side, it was just wall. It was just a wall.
Yeah, you're right.
It was just a wall. So it's just kind of a different venue where if you're not used to playing there, then it can probably provide some difficulty, just depth perception wise, and hitting some shots. And then Nebraska just kind of got down in the dumps a little bit, where they continue to miss some shots. And when you got down by double digits or 15 or more points, they just couldn't answer, especially on a night where Creighton was hitting all their shots. Then you also had, Nebraska went into the fourth quarter down 16, and I was like, all right, now they're kind of making a run. They're kind of making a little bit of a comeback. They dented Creighton's big lead that was at times a 25-point lead or more. And then they started out the fourth quarter down 16, and Creighton just came out once again, guns a-blazing in the fourth quarter.
8-0 run to start the fourth.
Yeah, and Morgan Molly, once again, that Cree native, hit one from the left wing from about 30 or a couple feet behind the 3-point line. And it was just like, I looked up and I was like, well, that's the dagger.
That one took the life out of the Husker fans in the stands. Yeah. The Creighton fans were getting loud. They had their men's basketball team there. Their volleyball team was there for a little bit before they had to leave. It was a raucous, rowdy environment for the Creighton Blue Jays, and Nebraska couldn't find an answer. Like I said, uncharacteristic turnovers, a lot of, and this isn't the refs called a pretty close game, but on both teams, a lot of ticky-tack fouls being called, a lot of hand check, just a couple things where both teams are looking at each other like, okay, I guess that's going to be called a foul tonight, and then very physical play underneath the rim from both teams, and the way that Nebraska's constructed, they're built more on that physicality and defensive side of things, whereas Creighton is a more athletic, spread you out shooting type team. But they had this, and I was talking to Mark about it. They had this one play that they just ran over and over. They're setting two screens on either the left or the right side of the wing, and ball carriers at the top of the key and just waiting, and one of the screeners rolls around, goes towards the bucket.
Yeah, a lot of backdoor cuts,
and it's just quick. It's as soon as the ball hits the hands, it's not even looking up at the rim. It's knowing exactly where it is, tossing it up. The layup goes in. They ran that, I don't know, like 8 times, and it was a bucket every time.
Yeah, there was a lot of buckets falling for Creighton last night. Nebraska scores their fewest amount of points since December 20th or December 18th, 2020, when they lost like 81-45 at Indiana, who at the time Indiana was a top 20 team in the country. So disappointing effort for Nebraska. They got to bounce back. They go on the road to Drake on Saturday. Tip-off for that one's at 2 p.m. I think it's on ESPN Plus, if I remember correctly. That game on Saturday. While we're on basketball here, I do want to talk Husker football here in the next segment. But while we're on Husker basketball, the men's play tomorrow night in the Gavitt tip-off games against St. John's on the road. Here's a familiar face on St. John's, Rico. Former Illinois guard Andre Curbelo. He plays for St. John's for now. So they just beat Central Connecticut last night, 91 to 79, something like that. 74. So they're coming off of a somewhat comfortable win over Central Connecticut, but similar to the Huskers, haven't really played many people.
Only a 4-point lead at halftime.
Yeah. So, which we're seeing that a lot. Like you saw now, Michigan State got an upset win last night against Kentucky. Kansas beat Duke, who was a spot ahead of them in the AP poll. You're seeing a lot of North Carolina was trailing and close with Gardner Webb last night for the first half. So like you're seeing that a lot where some of the mid-level, the mid-major teams are staying somewhat competitive with the top echelon teams in college basketball. Nebraska has a shot tomorrow. Nebraska certainly has a shot. They're going to have to shoot the ball really well because St. John's can score the rock. But you're going to have to shoot the ball really well, and we'll definitely ask Strick about that when he comes in either today or tomorrow on the crossover. All right, let's go ahead and get to a timeout. When we come back, let's talk Husker football. 402-464-5685. There's a lot of discussion going on around, obviously, the head coach. What's next for Nebraska? Let's talk a little evaluation. And within that discussion, it can be recruiting. It can be who's a good fit. What does Nebraska need next? We'll kind of dive into all of that. We want to get your guys' thoughts, though, so feel free to call in. Shoot us a text, 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, the Starter Heyman text line as well. Craig does ask, why Sokol? Doesn't Creighton have a gym? Women's basketball and volleyball play at DJ Sokol. So men's basketball plays at CHI, and Nebraska travels there December 4th to play top 10 Creighton as of right now. So that's why we were at Sokol last night, not CHI. All right, let's take a timeout. We'll be right back on the Happy Hour.
Follow Nick and Enrique on Twitter at Nick_Sainert and at Radio Rico AC. More of Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, I'm Charlie Stone, and I'm with Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Lincoln. Andy, you said to me earlier you have a lot going on at the dealership. Can you tell our listeners about it?
Sure can, Charlie. As I've said before, if you don't see a vehicle on our lot that you're looking for, it's probably on its way soon.
So, how many new Hondas do you have in stock or on the way?
We have a total of over 325, Charlie, with a great selection of Pilots and Ridgelines in stock right now.
Well, we have been talking about the Honda of Lincoln way of buying cars for several months. How is that going?
People love it. We're buying all makes and models, whether they purchase the car from us or not. I mean, really, it's a no hassle, and we will pay them cash on the same day.
Come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
From selling a home to even building one, you're doing a lot and need a lender who can help you do it. Like Jennifer Peters of Security First Bank.
There are a lot of ways we can work to find the best fit for you. Let me help you with your options.
Mortgage lending from Security First Bank. We're the bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 505011 and 616194.
The Air brand is growing with ESC fabrication and sandblasting. ESC is your place for custom handrails, industrial and commercial painting, and more. ESC provides custom welding for aluminum and stainless steel and media blasting of all sorts. ESC is great attention to detail. They stick to deadlines and keep within your budget. If you can dream it, they can make it. Contact ESC Fabrication and Sandblasting in Waverly today at 531-207-9329.
Join DP and Jay Foreman for Old School Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Scarlet Hotel at Innovation Campus. The guys will be broadcasting from the Barred Owl Patio Bar on the top floor. Come see the best views in town with great drinks on Thursday from the Scarlet Hotel at Innovation Campus.
Life-changing research doesn't just take place in outer space. It's happening right here in Nebraska, and you could play a key role. Solarion, one of the world's leading clinical research organizations, needs healthy adults who are 19 years old and older for a research opportunity. If you qualify, you could earn up to $500 a day for time and travel. Overnight stays may be required. To learn more, call Solarion at 866-213-2965 or visit helpresearch.com/500.
The Heartland Diamond from Sartor Heyman Jewelers was born from an unrelenting desire for more sparkle. Designed to shine as bright as your love, the difference between the Heartland and the traditional cut is clearly visible with the naked eye. By adding 32 additional facets, our skilled craftsmen have created a masterpiece, a diamond that truly reflects your passion and desire. Stop in and see the brilliance of the Heartland Diamond for yourself, exclusively at Sartor Heyman Jewelers, a Nebraska tradition since 1905.
Where will your path take you, traveler? To seek fortune in a new career, or on a journey to distant lands for a well-deserved vacation? Wherever you go, one distraction could spell disaster. You can change your fate, adventurer. Don't drive distracted. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and there is one place that has all the games, plus great food and beer specials. Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. Whether it's Thursday night football, college football Saturdays, NFL Sundays, or Monday night football, there's a great view of the game from any seat with different food and drink specials every night. Try the Blue Ribbon Reuben Sandwich or the Prime Rib French Dip or any of their famous chicken wings. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
Another packed fall sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. For November, they have tons of fall seasonals, and you can check out their Oscar Blues, Nebraska Brewing Company, and Broken Bat Brewing Company selections as their beers of the month. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch Crowler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage stop at 1801 O Street.
Wow. Did you ever save me money on my car?
Yes, that's why our customers keep coming back.
How do you do it, friendly car dealer ?
We simply have low overhead and high trade-in values. The next line's yours.
Oh.
Ready for something better? Mullen Motors is a no-hassle, no-pressure dealership with financing available. Check out the inventory at MikeMullenMotors.com.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear, call me Papa Bear because I'm grilling up dinner. You get it?
Yes, good job.
So what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary, sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the happy hour. What were you saying?
Nick found an interesting stat.
We're back here on the happy hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick and Rico hanging out with you guys. 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, the Starter Heyman text line, both those open for you guys the entire show today. Oh, okay, so I was looking a little deeper into Wisconsin because now we kind of fully shift our focus. Early in the week's obviously a little bit of coaching discussion. Now it's time to Nebraska's still got a game on Saturday. And at some point, Rico, I want to have the conversation of pros and cons of waiting till the end of the season to name a head coach when you fired your head coach 3 games in.
Okay.
I think that conversation could be intriguing. Maybe we'll have to push that off to next week.
Yeah, let me get some stuff together.
Yeah, maybe we need to think about that. Okay, so insight on Wisconsin a little bit. So Braylon Allen has 1,029 yards rushing this year, 189 carries. Anthony Grant has 188 carries for 880 yards. And so what's interesting about that, Braylon Allen has one more rush than Anthony Grant this season. He has 4 more touchdowns and a couple hundred yards more as well.
Mm-hmm.
What's wild here is you look at the production from Anthony Grant, and obviously it's easy for us to say Nebraska just hasn't ran the ball consistently over these last couple weeks. And when I say consistently, I mean give the ball off, chosen to run the ball consistently over these last couple weeks. I mean, I forgot for a moment how hot this season started for Anthony Grant. You come out 19 carries for 101 yards and 2 scores in the first game, 23 carries for 189 yards and 2 scores in the second game, 27 carries for 138 yards in the third and a touchdown in the third game. And then against Indiana, you had 32 carries for 136 yards. But then sprinkled in there, you have games that are 36 yards, 47 yards, 35 yards, 22 yards. And so what's wild about this is Nebraska should have a 1,000-yard rusher already.
Yes.
Like he should be there. And one of the keys that we talk, and this is with a poor offensive line.
I argue he should have been a 1,000-yard rusher by the Minnesota game.
I think that would be valid. Because he would be on pace.
He was
next to Braylon Allen, basically.
He was sitting at 6 or 7 before the Purdue game, correct? If I'm not mistaken. No, it was after the Purdue game.
Let's say if I can do quick math here.
Because you had it was after the Purdue game because you had a top 10 rusher and a number 1 receiver.
I would tell you this.
So he was at around 600 or 700.
Well, through 5 games, he had 600 rushing yards.
Yeah.
Through 5 games. So then you add in the 47 plus 35 plus 61 that he got the following 3. Drops off dramatically in terms of he only had 143 total yards. So this is what was the most frustrating for me, I think, is you talk about consistency and trying to figure out a way to stay competitive into games. And although Nebraska won their game following the Indiana game against Rutgers, right, because they played Indiana, then they went on the road at Rutgers on that Friday night, which some would think would be kind of a sneaky game. Anthony Grant has 136 yards on 32 carries, good for 4.5 yards per carry against Indiana. And the following week, you only give him the ball 19 times.
Now, I will say that Rutgers' defense was being very stingy in the run.
That's another thing we have to kind of take into account is you're playing a little more talented defense.
Despite Rutgers' struggles record-wise and wins-wise, they have a solid defense.
Statistically, at that time they did. At that time they did. I'm not sure where they're at right now.
I mean, they were giving Michigan fits for a half.
Okay.
I mean, look.
I understand that, but
it's not a great defense. It's not going to their defense-offense combo is not going to win them many games as it hasn't, but their defense is really good.
But anyway, so from a program
it's like
standpoint,
Nebraska's defense. You can only do so much when your offense goes 3 and out every time.
That's true. But I'm not saying
I'm not crowning them as, the best defense in the Big Ten. I'm just saying that Nebraska facing them, their rush defense is solid.
So once again, from kind of a program standpoint, one of the keys that we gave at the beginning of the season for Nebraska to be successful is you got to have a 1,000-yard rusher. And Nebraska's probably, he needs 120. He needs 120 yards.
These are really good. These two defenses.
They are. But you also have weather to kind of take into account. But that's never stopped Nebraska before from throwing the ball. I guess here we are. Anthony Grant's 120 yards away from being a 1,000-yard rusher. Plus, you have to remember A.J. Allen. That's what's even more wild. A.J. Allen gets hurt in the
4th game,
Oklahoma game, in Mickey Joseph's first game. So following that against Indiana, he has the 32-carry, 136-yard performance. And so you're thinking, okay, we're going to see a heavy dose of Anthony Grant here because you don't have the second guy in A.J. Allen, healthy enough to go, obviously. And you follow it up with only one game that features over 20 carries for Anthony Grant. And that was against Minnesota when he had 10 touches in the first quarter.
Was looking like he was going to go way over 100.
Like, here's the deal. Every single time Anthony Grant has over 20 carries, he has rushed for over 115 yards. And when he's had...
It's a recipe for success.
When he's had 19 carries, he ran for 101 yards. But then you see the 13, 11, 12, 11. When you see those carries... Or amount of carries.
Yeah.
You have 22 yards, 61 yards, 35 yards, 47 yards.
He's a back that has to get going.
Which nothing's new.
And it
that's
looks
not
like
new
it takes
for Nebraska.
him, over 15 carries. That's when he starts, warming up, and then you get over 20, and he's a physical runner.
You could also add that Mohamed Ibrahim in that Minnesota-Nebraska game had to get going.
Yep.
You had 8 carries for 18 yards. So it's frustrating when at the beginning of the season, I mean, just think about this. And obviously this is all hypothetical. And unfortunately in a season that Nebraska's 3-7, once again, it's kind of all we can do right now is talk about some hypotheticals to a certain extent, or we're going to drive ourselves crazy. But I mean, at the beginning of the season, something that a lot of people, not even just me and Rico, were saying, you got to figure out a way to establish a 1,000-yard rusher. And Nebraska had that, especially through their first 3 games. Especially, I would also add it through their first 5 games. Oklahoma kind of putting off to the side. You had Mickey Joseph, his first head coach or first game as a coach.
It's a weird game.
It was a weird game
for everyone involved. So
Anthony Grant has 36 rushing yards, whatever. However, you were, let's see, around 500 when Anthony Grant was running the ball for over 100 yards a game. But now when you look at these more disciplined defenses in the Big Ten West specifically, you have an opportunity to stay in those games, especially an Illinois-type game, especially a Minnesota-type game. I would even throw a Michigan-type game in there as well. Purdue, we can kind of push off to the side because the long ball, the deep shot, it was working. You had to keep scoring points as quick as you could to stay in the game. But Nebraska, as Rico kind of said, and I agree with him, Nebraska should have had an 1,000-yard rusher either going into Minnesota or after Minnesota.
Yeah.
And here we are on November 16th after 10 games of a season, and you have a guy that's still 120 yards away from running the ball or from rushing for 1,000.
This is how crazy this season has been. About 5, 6. When was the Purdue game? 6 or 7 games. So 5, 6, 7 games into the season. By then, after that, there was a route to having a 1,000-yard rusher and a 1,000-yard receiver. Now, like Nick said, you're 120 yards away from having a 1,000-yard rusher, and your 1,000-yard receiver has been almost non-existent the last few games.
What's crazy? So an unnamed texter, and Rico,
receiver.
I don't know if we're missing this. A name texter sends in a thought. It's almost like the teams they played got better, and I suppose it's possible that Anthony Grant might not be as good as we thought. I don't know if this is a conversation of how good Anthony Grant is. And yes, we're not expecting maybe a 32-carry, 136-yard performance or a 23-carry, 189-yard performance that Anthony Grant had against North Dakota to come against Illinois or to Minnesota. But he ran for 21 times for 115 yards against Minnesota. And maybe we don't have a 100-yard game against Michigan, but you got to give him more than 11 attempts. 11 carries.
As we've said before, it seems as if he's a running back and needs to get going. And especially in the Big Ten, you've seen running backs who have struggled in the first half of games, and those teams don't deviate from their game plan. They're going to keep handing it off. And after a while of banging bodies, the defenders kind of sort of move out of the way a little bit, and maybe your offensive line gets a little more confidence and starts moving people out of the way, and your running back has more room to run. But Nebraska doesn't do that, or they haven't done that the last few weeks. If the running game isn't working, they stop handing it off. And Anthony Grant is an amazing player. The offensive line isn't giving him much to work with, as you've seen in damn near every single game. He's trying to make people miss in the backfield. He gets the ball, and his first 2 steps are trying to get around somebody. So going after him and saying he might not be as good of a player as we thought he was. No, I think he's all of the player we thought he is.
It's finally,
I don't think he's getting he's not getting a lot of help.
I think it's an offensive line plays a part, but I would also add that opportunities help. I mean, giving him the ball more than 11 times. I mean, you have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 of your 10 games, he's been given less than 12 carries. 4 of your 10 games, in 40% of your games, almost half of your games, your starting running back has fewer than 12 carries. And in a rushing, we always put that blanket statement out here. If you got to run the ball in the Big Ten to be successful. And I that's very true. We always put that blanket and rightfully so. But then you come out here and you see them actually on paper, the lack of opportunities or attempts on paper in front of you when they're all laid out for you. That's what really gets me frustrated because here's the thing. Let's go ahead and go to Braylon Allen here because I'm curious to see how balanced Braylon Allen's are.
And I mean, even if your offensive line isn't, the best offensive line, just giving them an opportunity to move some bodies, giving your running back an opportunity to handle the ball and make people miss and find the holes that the offensive line might find a way to create, because there have been multiple times on some runs for Anthony Grant, as you saw at the first drive of the Minnesota game. The offensive line was moving Minnesota around, and you've heard many people that were on the sidelines close to that game. Minnesota's defense was gassed. They were ready to be done, and Nebraska stopped running it.
Here's just to kind of put things in perspective here. So Braylon Allen, his fewest number of carries came against Illinois. He had 8. That was a game that Wisconsin had to throw a ton because they were down 34-10. But the fewest amount of carries outside of that one against Illinois that Braylon Allen's had in a game, 14. And he ran, it was in the first game of the season, 14 against Illinois State, where they won 38-0. He had 14 carries, 148 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So I would imagine that it's one of those things where he got subbed out. Other than that, his fewest amount of carries
against a Power 5 opponent.
Against a Power 5 opponent came against Purdue when he had 16. 16 carries, 113 yards, 7.1 yards per carry, and a touchdown. Also had 39 receiving yards. But here you go, against other Power 5 opponents, 23 carries against Ohio State, 23 carries against Northwestern, 29 carries against Michigan State, 23 carries against Maryland. There's a recipe here, and I guess it all comes back to identity, unfortunately. Okay, here's an interesting thought. A named texter says, we don't have a quarterback that threatens any defenses since Casey Thompson has been out. It allows the defense to stop a run. I would rebuttal to that with saying, how much does Graham Mertz threaten the defense?
Nobody's scared.
How much does Spencer
in
years before, especially now because they don't have Clay Cundiff, who we'll talk about tomorrow. He's their tight end that's out for the year. But since when? I mean, in previous years, Spencer Petras didn't really threaten defenses. I mean, you can go down the list. Nebraska's allowed now taking Nebraska out of the equation when Nebraska plays those teams, because Nebraska allows the Tanner Morgans, the Spencer Petrases, the Graham Mertz to look, Ryan Helinski, for God's sakes, to look like Heisman contenders.
Like all conference players.
Yeah, exactly. But normal discipline teams, I mean, think about it. Graham Mertz doesn't scare Minnesota, and probably rightfully so. So, and once again, Nebraska, and this is kind of goes back to what the next head coach is going to have to do from a foundation standpoint. Basically gut everything, figure out a basic identity, whatever it is, but make sure that you have an identity that, number one, you're confident in, and number two, can keep you competitive into games. And then you can worry about all the creative stuff after that. Because all that creative stuff we've seen, if you try to rush that stuff, you're going to fall back when that stuff doesn't work, because it's high risk, high reward plays, right? When those don't work and you need to gut one out, when you fall back, you don't have a sturdy foundation to fall back on as an offense. So Nebraska's got to figure this thing out foundationally. And personally, I hope that you don't need a quarterback to run the ball. You don't need an element of a quarterback run to make this a foundational. That's not a foundation offense. A guy that is in the Big Ten specifically, a game manager, serviceable quarterback, a sturdy offensive line, and a running back that can carry the rock 20 plus times a game.
That's how you build a winner.
That is what keeps you competitive.
Mm-hmm.
However, now here's the thing, and this will be kind of the final thought before we get to the crossover. That's what keeps it competitive. What takes you over the top is when you get those playmakers on the perimeter, when you get those Samari Tourés, the Trey Palmers.
To open it up after you pounded the ball up the middle 12 times.
Once again, like Nebraska has pieces. Casey Thompson has shown the ability at times. Now he's turned it over sometimes, but maybe not to his fault. Shown the ability to manage a game pretty well at times. Anthony Grant has shown to be able to carry the rock 20-plus times in a game.
He's a workhorse. He can be that workhorse.
However, Nebraska has the complete opposite of a sturdy offensive line. And from a passing game standpoint, you have guys that can't really catch the ball all too well right now. A lot of drops in the last couple weeks. But if you want to build on that, you have tight ends that Nebraska has not used.
Underutilized again.
Continue to unutilize
It's
them.
an every year thing, really.
Yeah. So it's just kind of frustrating, but I think that's why it's so important and going forward.
You got to start
throughout this coaching search. I'm going to say it so many times. It's got to be a foundational thing because you got to figure out a way. Once again, like if you don't build a house without a foundation, it's going to fall. It's going to tumble.
Got to start from the middle.
Same with your program. Same with your program. If you don't have a sturdy, strong, well-built base, that once again, that's where it comes with your offensive line depth, all that. Think about Kansas State, for example. Kansas State. Skylar Thompson, not too big of a mobile quarterback last year. Now, obviously, they've kind of made the transition to Will Howard if Adrian Martinez is out, and he's been doing just fine. But Kansas State prides themselves on a strong offensive line, a playmaker running back in Deuce Vaughn, and Skylar Thompson, who wasn't the most mobile guy, but he was a game manager, and they won games. They won 7, 8, 9 games, whatever it was.
Spread the ball out to his playmakers.
But now you add that one piece of Husker fans might not want to hear it, but you add this one piece of Adrian Martinez that kind of introduces a quarterback running threat or option that can be used as a weapon rather than the offense. Yep. And then you're able to have guys like Cade Warner actually be utilized in it.
Like Warner has like 5 touchdowns.
That's where it's at. It's like when you find the right fit and when you have a good foundation and you're confident in what you believe in, to where Kansas State, for example, doesn't need the quarterback run to be successful in their offense.
Nope.
But it's a great added piece when it's there. It is a great weapon to have in your back pocket. That's what Nebraska, I think, needs to have. It'll be a beautiful day here in Lincoln on a Saturday when you don't need some element of a quarterback running game to be successful or to keep you into a ball game or to allow your running back to get his own.
When you can rely on your running back and your offensive line to make plays for you, and then from time to time have an explosive play coming from a quarterback passing out to a wide receiver or a tight end or such, the likes. But again, building from the middle and going outwards is what Nebraska needs to do. You need to start with the lines on both sides and then work your way out, because if you can't get things done in the trenches, everywhere else is going to suffer.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a big foundation fix coming up. Big foundation build coming up for whoever the next head coach is. Like Mickey said yesterday, whoever takes this job better be ready to work. And I think Mickey has a pretty good feel of everything that needs to be done here, even if he's not the head coach. So, all right, let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Strick and Nate for the crossover when we come back on the Happy Hour.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. More of the Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
If you're Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, listen up. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. Plus, they're hiring service plumbers. If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Where will your path take you, traveler? To seek fortune in a new career, or on a journey to distant lands for a well-deserved vacation? Wherever you go, one distraction could spell disaster. You can change your fate, adventurer. Don't drive distracted. paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
They might win, they might lose, but either way, you have something to say about it. Don't miss the Husker After Party postgame show immediately following every Nebraska football game. Nick Sainert and Jake Bachhoven give instant reaction, quotes from the players and coaches, and take all your phone calls with thoughts on the game. It's the Husker After Party postgame show, only on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Sponsored by Action Plumbing and Heating, Gary Michaels Clothiers, and Brent Excavating. A good game with good friends. But isn't it time to up the score when it comes to the food? Wings and Rings is here for every football fan. Catch the game on one of their big screens or snag a tailgate pack to go. They're cranking up the heat and throwing in mad flavor this season. Stop by your locally owned Wings and Rings on O Street, Meridian Park, or 48th and Old Cheney in Williamsburg Village, or grab some crave-worthy Wings and Rings to go. Make them your go-to destination to watch your team bring home the win. Wings and Rings. Game time just got better.
Eustace Body Shop, where our customers send their friends. That's the greatest compliment we can receive. If you've been in an accident, we'll get you back in your vehicle as quickly as possible. Our technicians care about you and your family and repair your vehicle to factory standards. We handle your claim from start to finish and provide a free loaner car. Stop by for a free estimate. Eustace Body Shop, just south of 88th and Highway 2.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Join DP and Jay Foreman for Old School Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Scarlet Hotel at Innovation Campus. The guys will be broadcasting from the Barred Owl Patio Bar on the top floor. Come see the best views in town with great drinks on Thirsty Thursday from the Scarlet Hotel at Innovation Campus.
Life-changing research doesn't just take place in outer space. It's also happening right here in Nebraska, and you could play a key role. Solarion, one of the world's leading clinical research organizations, needs healthy adults who are 19 years old and older for a research opportunity. If you qualify, you could earn up to $500 a day for time and travel. Overnight stays may be required. To learn more, call Solarion at 866-213-2965 or visit helpresearch.com/500.
Chances are you haven't started thinking about your holiday baking yet. Chances are your holidays would be much less stressful if someone else did that baking for you. And chances are you could have all of that baking done today with the help of Beatrice Bakery. Pick up Grandma's fruitcakes in sizes all the way up to 5 pounds, and you can sit back and relax this year. Order now at BeatriceBakery.com or buy them here in Lincoln at the From Nebraska gift shop at 8th and Q. Beatrice Bakery, welcome to our world of yum.
Trendy or traditional, Gary Michaels Clothiers specializes in men's tailored, off the rack or custom made to measure. There is simply no better shopping experience. Offering designer furnishings, sportswear, shoes, outerwear, and accessories for a man always concerned at looking his best. With world-class tailoring and personal service, all makes Gary Michaels Clothiers Nebraska's premier store for men. Come visit us now at Village Gardens, south of 56th and Pine Lake Road in Lincoln.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your KFXL Fox Nebraska weather. Lots of sunshine forecast for Wednesday, but a high of only 33 with northwest winds gusting up to around 30 miles per hour. We'll see increasing clouds for Wednesday night with a chance of flurries in the low of 17. Gusty winds are back for Thursday with a 20% chance for snow showers, a mix of sun and clouds, and a high of 34. I'm meteorologist Regina Bird for 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to The Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey, Welcome back into the happy hour. 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com. Nick, Rico, Strick, and Nathan.
I'm on the mic. Are you ready for these
Get it.
bars?
Hey, get it. Yeah.
No, I can't rap. I can't slap. I can't tap. I'll give you dab on that. Oh, no.
Hey.
Damn.
That was pretty good.
He knows Dion.
Y'all are straight. You almost had to jump there. Yeah. What's up? It's hump day Wednesday.
That was close. That was close,
It was
Stricky.
close. It was close for a
I heard you almost. You were like,
It is hump day.
It's hump day.
Hump day.
And I'm causing controversy. What's the topic? Let's go.
Whatever's on your mind, Strick. What's in the mind of
How about this?
Strickland today?
How about this? We asked Bach, third party. What's our topic? What are we talking about?
Yeah, Bach. What
Let's ask Bach.
do we
need a
talk
topic.
about? What
Give me anything. What are we talking about?
He just rips the
I
microphone.
don't even know what it is. Oh my
Let
god!
me tell you.
What is that?
He's like, I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for this moment. All right, Bach, we're asking you right now. Just throw us any type of topic you can think of. What are we talking about?
Brian Ferentz.
Oh, we were just talking about this.
Thanks, Bach.
So here's the deal. So Caden Proctor, a 5-star offensive tackle. See, this is quick. This is us on the fly. We should do this.
That was good.
We
We're
should
gonna
do
start
this.
Ask Bach.
Ask Bach, or we should do the Ask the Text line. What our topic should be.
And the
Yeah.
first
Random.
person to text in.
Yep.
That's what we talk about.
All right. So that's a thing going forward. All right.
Depending on the topic.
Well,
Well, yeah.
Has to be appropriate.
so here's the deal.
Yes, I know you do.
Anyway,
I'm a
5.
I told you.
A 5-star. A
It's always
5-star.
hump day.
Yeah, a 5-star offensive tackle. It's called. His name is Caden Proctor.
It's called.
His name is Caden Proctor. Is predicted to flip his commitment from Iowa to Oregon. And I said, you know why? In a sarcastic way, I said, because Kirk Ferentz is about to retire. And then we brought up, what happens if Brian Ferentz takes over Iowa's program?
Everyone leaves.
Dumpster fire.
Is
I mean,
it, though?
it's a bad.
Yes.
Brian
Devil's
Ferentz,
advocate. The Iowa might win the Big Ten West. Me and Strick were
And?
talking about that yesterday.
Okay, they can win the Big Ten West and be the worst Big Ten West champion ever. And Northwestern won it twice.
I think Brian
That team almost beat
Ferentz
Ohio State.
is
though.
the only reason Brian Ferentz is still employed there is because his dad's the head coach.
Oh, absolutely.
It's because of Papa.
Nepotism.
Papa.
That's literally the
Straight
only
nepotism.
reason.
Straight nepotism.
There is no reason that there is no way he survives that whole race thing that he
No.
went under without Kirk being the head coach and
Papa gave me a job.
being solidified as the head coach for however many years at that time Kirk Ferentz was there. I mean, there is no way Brian Ferentz has a job if Kirk's not the dad, not the dad.
Despite
Not
the
his
not the coach.
offense is in the toilet.
I say, despite the
Like,
success
swirling
that
around like
Kirk has
some
had.
brown stuff.
Yeah, despite the success that Kirk has had in
Well-
Iowa, this season has taken a toll
What's-
on his legacy
Yeah.
in Iowa City because of the lack of
willingness to change
willingness and movement at
But
the
Isn't that
offensive side of things, including his son.
Isn't that so crazy though that I was talking to Bach about this. I see more likely of a scenario that Iowa does win the Big Ten West. I don't know why. it feels weird. I think
Who do they
Iowa's
have
going to win
this
the Big
week?
Ten West because I think they're going to. I don't want to say it, but I think they'll beat Nebraska. I don't want to say what actually I think is going to happen, but I think they'll beat Nebraska.
You think they boat race Nebraska, don't you?
I think Nebraska.
I
might
think
get shut
Nebraska.
out.
Oh, really?
Iowa's defense is no joke, and it's
So-
only gotten
so
better.
That's what I was gonna actually talk about next. Is
who do they have this.
What's-
Iowa has Minnesota at Minnesota.
That's right.
So
That's
if
right.
they win, Minnesota's done.
It's like the game for the Rose or something.
Florida Rosedale.
The Florida Rosedale.
Who has the tiebreaker, Purdue or Iowa? Because if Iowa wins, Minnesota's
Iowa
done.
beat Purdue.
Iowa beat
I'm
Purdue.
telling you, Iowa's going to win the Big Ten West
Iowa beat Purdue,
after
and then Iowa
everything
beat
that's
Michigan.
happened.
I think Minnesota beats Iowa this week.
Wow.
I think Minnesota.
What's the line
I
of
think
Iowa,
Minnesota
Rico?
boat races Iowa.
What's the?
I
what's
see.
the
No,
line?
nobody boat races Iowa. Nobody. Only team that
Nobody boat races.
only team that can boat race Iowa is Ohio State.
Minnesota is
here
a
comes
3
Jacob. What's up, Jacob?
Quick stat for you. Iowa has won 13 straight games in November. That's all I
That
know.
is
did see
crazy.
that.
Oh,
Jake!
What is
Jake?
this?
The microphone.
Minnesota is a 3-point favorite.
What's the over
Jake
under?
from Allstate.
From All-Star. All-State.
The over
Not State
under
Farm, Allstate.
is 32.5.
You're in good hands.
32.5.
32.5.
I'd still take the under.
Well, so here's what's wild about Iowa, guys.
32.5.
They both have solid defenses. So Iowa's allowing 260 yards a game. Minnesota's only allowing 274. While Minnesota is averaging 403 yards a game on offense, and Iowa's only
They're
averaging
projecting this
251.
game to be 16-16.
Yeah.
Yep.
17
I'd still take the under.
I mean, it's outdoors Minnesota in middle of November.
Here's what's
the weather?
wild.
Someone text line, tell me the weather.
We can look this up.
I'm telling you. So basically, whoever wins this game wins the Big Ten West. We think.
Minnesota weather Saturday, 17 degrees. With a 17-mile-an-hour wind.
Mo Ibrahim's going wild.
Under.
So
hey, Jake,
Iowa's best running back, I think it's Keldon Johnson.
Can you hear us?
118 carries, 610 yards.
Hold on. We need this. I need you to please ask Lee on Friday if the over or under is the play for Iowa, Minnesota.
Okay.
Because it's 17 degrees with a 17-mile-an-hour wind.
And it's 32.5.
32.5 is the over under.
Go under.
It's got that's
Under.
That's
I love
it.
A 16-10 weird type.
That is
exactly. Exactly.
Something like that.
12. Iowa's going to get a safety.
Oh,
They
yeah.
always do.
Absolutely.
They always do.
Well, like a 7-5 ball game.
Yeah, with no touchdown.
No, it'll be 9. It'll be 9-7, and they'll score a defensive touchdown.
Yeah,
defensive
yeah.
touchdown and
That's
safety.
That's the craziest.
There it is.
Yes.
That's the craziest thing about Iowa is they rely and bank on a defensive touchdown every single
Every
week,
game.
and they get it. They get
Every
it.
game.
They somehow get a fumble return. They get an interception return for a touchdown. Somehow, some way, that's their defense. Is they bank on their defense scoring more points than their offense, and they do it, and they win
32.5.
games.
That is insane.
I saw a stat that was crazy from Iowa. That's just
Jory says Iowa's going to beat Minnesota 6-3 with 3 safeties.
Iowa has
That would be awesome.
Iowa has 4 touchdowns defensively.
That's what I'm saying.
Two interception return touchdowns
That
by the
is
same
crazy.
guy and 2 fumble return
Here's a
touchdowns.
stat. This is going to sicken you guys thinking about Nebraska here real quick. With 2 picks last game, Iowa's defense has intercepted 101 passes since the start of the 2017 season.
101?
Oh my goodness.
Since the start of 2017, they've had 101 picks defensively.
How many has Nebraska
They're carried by their defense.
How many picks have they thrown? 101.
We need to figure out. So
Just see if they. What if they had Adrian Martinez?
That's
They'd be
20
elite.
picks a year.
Hey, they would be because he wouldn't be passing. He'd be handing it off all the time.
Listen, if they had Adrian Martinez, they'd go undefeated. And
12-0.
and I'll even say it.
He'd be running. He would do exactly what he's doing at Kansas State.
Spark it, Stricky.
It's like 20 interceptions a year they're getting.
Okay, so we need
But
to
the,
figure out.
the interceptions would balance out. It'd be fine.
What is that? What is that on
Thank you,
average?
Jake.
A year.
Well, over the course of 5 years,
We're not
would
through
be
6 full years of that. It'd be 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And 20 was a short year with COVID. So they're averaging like about 18 picks a year.
Well, what about add fumbles? So I'm assuming
I
it's
don't know. I don't
probably
have that.
turnovers is over 20.
All I know is they have by far the most picks in the nation over the last 6 years.
Easily.
Not even close.
all right. Where's Nebraska?
That
All
is
right.
crazy.
Well, see, the thing I think about Nebraska, and I continuously see this constantly,
That's
is
so weird.
every time there's a scrum, we're in there hugging people. Whereas
Yeah, you don't rip
other
it.
teams
You don't rip it,
don't
Stricky.
get in there and they're
That is
digging
true.
and
Yeah.
they're in there hugging and
Yeah.
waiting for
Let
the
me
pile
tell you
to
about
move.
my best friend.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Iowa has 12 interceptions this season, and they have 9 forced fumbles.
That is
That's
crazy.
crazy.
6
That
fumble
is
recoveries.
that is 2 turnovers on average a game and 4 touchdowns.
They have 4 people on their defense have forced 2 fumbles this season.
'Cause they punch it out. Like you were
2
saying.
people on their defense have more than 1 interception. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with 1 interception.
That's crazy. The numbers are sick.
How many interceptions do they have this year?
12.
3, 5, 7 for Nebraska. Just this
Nebraska
season.
has 7 interceptions.
7
actually pretty good.
interceptions.
Well, didn't they
But
have like
that's,
3?
I don't
Luke,
feel like they
How many
did.
do they have against Rutgers?
Luke
3?
has 1. Miles Farmer has 1. Marquise Buford has 2. Malcolm Hartzog has 2. And Brandon Moore has 1.
Okay. It doesn't seem like they have.
Do they
that.
have a
hold on.
single forced fumble though?
Hold on,
I can't
7.
remember a
Yes.
forced fumble.
Yes, first game. No, second game.
7.
Do they?
Second game. Yes, it was Marquise Buford.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
They have another forced fumble, but it bounced out of bounds. I mean, it still counts, but there's no chance of a recovery.
I'm seeing how many they've had since 2017 season.
That's just
yikes.
The amount of turnovers forced by Iowa is just
short season.
It's crazy.
Like, how do you even?
Iowa 6-3 with 3 safeties.
That would be so wild.
That's totally possible.
Bach would love that.
Oh yeah, you would.
I'm kind of like, has 4-3 ever happened in football?
Nebraska has 2 forced fumbles, and they don't. For some reason, they're not counting the Marquise Buford. What are you doing?
That ain't Stricky.
Oh, is Jake's mic?
It was.
It's like
Song
song
of
of
the
the
day.
day. Just put it open
You
again.
guys were looking at
Hold on,
Blake.
hold on.
Always
Hold on.
looking at Stricky.
He figured it out.
The song of the day tomorrow. There's the song of the day tomorrow.
That's client song of the day for tomorrow. Not mine. Rick Haven. Shout out to Sauter Haven Jewelers.
There it is.
We're jamming.
I was like, what is going on? And then Stricky's the only one on his
the only one with an iPad or a laptop. So
Just blame it on Stricky.
always,
Okay.
always blame Strick.
Tell me
ABS.
like,
Always blame Strick.
What happened last night, Rico?
What are you talking about?
To our girls.
They couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat.
Man, it was no bueno.
Were you there, Strick?
I had one of those premonitions. I just didn't want to go sit in Sokol.
Oh no.
They were having easy layups that just weren't falling. I think they airballed like 2 layups. Like it was just nothing was going. Nothing was going.
They just struggled.
And Creighton couldn't miss.
All right.
Does that mean that Iowa would go to a New Year's Six bowl?
No. So going back to Iowa. Okay. So Jake.
If the Rose Bowl's not part of the college football playoff, Iowa would go to the Rose Bowl.
And if Michigan and Ohio State both make the playoff, right? Or does it have to be a team?
It's the Big Ten champion. But if the Big Ten champion's in the playoff, which they will be, the runner-up.
So Iowa to the Rose Bowl.
Here you go. Ready for this stat?
My
So Iowa has 101 interceptions since 2017.
Okay.
Any guesses on how many Nebraska has?
58.
Okay, close.
For a second, I was like, give me a boom
55.
Closer.
Oh, Stricky.
48.
53.
53.
Nebraska has 53 interceptions since the start of 2017.
Almost exactly half.
While Iowa, since the start of 2017, has 101.
You know the craziest part? How many quarterbacks does Iowa have drafted in that time? 3?
King is
Beathard.
Desmond King.
Beathard.
Quarterbacks, not cornerbacks.
Beathard. Nate Stanley. Wasn't there another one?
Yeah, who was the guy that was for the 49ers?
That's Beathard.
That's
Oh,
Beathard.
No. No, there was number 4 for the 49ers. Was that Stanley?
No,
No,
that's
Nate
Beathard.
Nate
That's
Stanley.
CJ
was-
Beathard.
No, I'm not. No, it was not CJ Beathard.
That's the great. How many quarterbacks does Nebraska had drafted in that time?
None. Well, 1.
Well, maybe Beathard
Tanner Lee.
was just before.
Ricky Stanzi.
I know Nate Stanley was in that time period.
Ricky Stanzi.
See, I just said that.
Wow.
Okay, not in that time. Kyle Orton.
Kyle Orton. Yeah, definitely would. That's a little bit too.
All right, yeah. No, it's
Kyle
like
Orton.
okay, so
The
Iowa-
most-
Yeah, no, I think Nebraska's had Tanner Lee drafted, and
the
that's
most
the only
mid
quarterback.
trade of all time. Kyle
Nebraska
Orton for Jay
hasn't.
Cutler.
Nebraska hasn't
What are we
had
doing?
a quarterback drafted or as a quarterback in the NFL into the NFL since I don't even know. It's been a while because Tommy Armstrong wasn't drafted, and when he signed a free agent, not a free agent deal, but he got taken into camp by the Vikings, they had him at safety. Adrian Martinez, I think they had him as
Or Taylor
a wide
Martinez.
receiver. Taylor Martinez, I think it was like a wide receiver or something like that. Tanner Lee was drafted in the 7th round as a quarterback.
to the Jags.
Eric Crouch.
He was drafted as a corner, defensive back.
So
Really?
is Scott Frost.
Yeah, so
I know
Um,
Scott Frost too.
So CJ Beathard is the only quarterback in the NFL from Iowa right now.
What happened to Nate Stanley?
He's not on this list.
Nate
Maybe he
Stanley
might have retired.
letting us down.
He might have retired.
Is he not on a practice squad? I'm gonna look up. What is Nate Stanley up to? We should get him on the show, Strick.
37 Hawkeyes are currently in the NFL.
Ask Bach has gone pretty well.
I agree. We're going to do this.
We should just ask Bach.
We're going to either ask Bach, or if Bach's not here, we're going to ask the text line.
Unfortunately, this was just a very large Iowa segment.
Yeah, sadly. But I am excited to see the wave. The wave's going to be cool.
Oh, you're going to be there.
Yeah, the wave's going to be kind of cool in Iowa. Unfortunately.
So Nate Stanley was taken in the 7th round, and he was cut from the Vikings practice squad.
Ah,
damn it.
Well, speaking of practice squad, tying it back into Nebraska, because we have about a minute left here. Tying it back into Nebraska, the Browns signed Ben Stilley off of the Dolphins practice squad.
I saw that.
Onto their active roster.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Look for Ben Stilley in their next game.
Also, for the Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Goedert got put on injured reserve, which means Jack Stoll is the number 1 tight end in Philly.
Big boy. Take him on your fantasy teams.
And JoJo Doman starts on special teams for the Colts.
That's right.
Hears name almost every week.
Good for him.
Yeah, good for him.
I think he's a great special teams guy.
Oh yeah. He can last for a while.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right, that'll do it for us today. Thanks for hanging out with us. Stick around on the block with Strick and Nate's coming up next. We will talk to you tomorrow.
Adios.
Season. Why would you bounce around from place to place for all your beverage needs when you could have it all in one place? Wine, Beer, and Spirits has everything for your parties with their 3 locations in Lincoln, Grand Island, and Omaha. It's the largest liquor store in the state, and here's the best part. You can get a drink from their bar and walk around with it as you shop for all your tailgate necessities. Locally owned and operated, it's Wine, Beer, and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Wow. Did you ever save me money on my car?
Yes, that's why we're